You know what? I have such an issue with repeating myself. A real problem. I don't even think it's a pet peeve. It's a real it's a real problem. Seriously. This dude over here, who is the most married looking dude on this freaking dating site, liked my thing. So his main photo is half of his self with his hand on his desk and the ring finger very exposed. And he has the ring finger on his other photos too, which to me tells me if he's not married anymore, which I think that if he were married, he probably would go out of his way to make sure that we don't see the ring. The ring. So I think he probably is divorced now, and is not super strict, smart. He just looks married, feels married. It's just those guys. And I don't know if he has game. Maybe, he's fresh off that boat. Because just edit the photo, edit the hand out. You know what I mean? So he liked, right? And then I thought, okay, whatever, let's just like back. Who cares? Seems like a nice guy. It's not going to go anywhere anyway. So I don't need to put a lot of thought into who I'm liking and who I'm not. Everybody's going to end up being deleted either by me or by them. Then he sends me, hey, how's your day going? I'm smart enough now to know that is not what somebody had typed, because I've learned, I use two separate devices. My newer one obviously has more up-to-date apps, and I can see on there, I also have the option to send that. It's an automatic prompt that they clicked. So if they don't click the waving hi, which it feels like it's the worst thing ever. I've already compared to the old poke on Facebook. This is Facebook dating too, so I guess they're very into that whole finger nudge, nudge, wink, wink, push, push, shove, shove. Hey everybody, it's Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, and it's a minute before 12 o'clock. I am in my white robe that I got from my husband for Christmas 1 year. Everybody in the family has one, his family. And sitting in front of the heater because it only heated up for like a week, and then we're back to 30-degree Fahrenheit, which is about 3 degrees Celsius, more or less, again. So it's a little cold. I'm working on an episode now. Already finished. It's ready to just piece together. And as one does, I'm stalling by going on this site. And welcome back to the Babbling Brook show. I respond with a thumbs up, because you want to show me the bare minimum effort. Guess what? I'm serving you exactly the same level of energy, sir. Here we go. 1 thumbs up. And then he goes, where are you from? Too lazy to even say, where are you from? You're literally sitting on a desk and you can't type a full sentence. So I respond, what do you mean? First of all, I just want to remove this guy already, because you're too much trouble than you're worth. And he goes, where do you live? The reason I asked what does he mean, where am I from, is 1, my location is on the dating profile. 2, are you asking because I could be from somewhere else and you're trying to place that? You know what I mean? You can't hear my accent yet, in his case. But like, what are you really asking? Yesterday, somebody asked me where are my parents from, which I thought, well, here comes 23andMe over here. But I guess it was one way of him trying to find out where am I from, or maybe a way for him to find out where my parents are from. I don't know, dude. I don't know. So to my question, he responded, where do you live? This is why we're here. I can't with situations where I have to repeat myself. The profile has all the information. I put a lot of thought and effort into the podcast, into the profile. Are you that lazy that you cannot read? The information is right here. It not only is on there, it also shows you, according to what your particular location is, how far that person is. So people who are in Los Angeles, I think, are usually about, 200. I was going to say 200 calories. So a lot of people are like 130, 200, 250 miles from me for the most part. I don't have the restriction on distance because I'm far enough as it is. So, I mean, if I put any restrictions, I might as well just delete my profile because there'll be nobody around if I say I won't go further than 50 miles, for example, then there'll be like maybe 1.5 people, 2 of which will be married. You know what I mean? So now I have to tell him where I'm from, even though it's on the profile? The mental block is real. I just can't. Really. The only thing I can do is to respond in a way that may read as I'm being a bitch. Why should I care about how I come across? Clearly, this dude doesn't care about how married he looks. He doesn't care about how lazy he's coming across by not typing, period, and by missing words and by asking the obvious. Do you know what I mean? Why should I freaking care? You're going to love this. I had typed desert, period, should be on my profile. And then I got pissed because I was thinking, it's going to think I'm mean, I'm going to whatever. And then I decided to come here and talk to you guys and record. But his page, our chat, I left open. And when I go in there, I accidentally just hit send. So what he's getting now is a message. Serves him right. The message that he's getting back is desert, period, should. I'm literally starting to sound like him now. And I was like, shoot, now I have to send another message saying, oh, sorry, man, I accidentally sent that. He doesn't deserve all those words. Instead, I'm going to go back to work because I have a thing to put out and I have to go to my day job, eBay. So I'm going to leave him with that short message. For as long as we don't give it an AF, right? Here we go again. Here I go. Thursday, February 13, 12:30. In the afternoon or at noon, whatever. Hey, so, it's fresh outside, dude. Oh, it was actually rain. It's kind of drizzling now. There was a couple of droplets on me. There were. But it's a nice, we used to call it back in the day, BMW, baby making weather. So, about the previous guy, he didn't reply, but I don't know if I gave him a chance to reply because I just looked at my past now and he comes up under deactivated conversations. And I don't know if I removed him or he removed me. There's a lot of removals that take place, and that's fine. I'm like, I almost remember going back and just being like, let's just remove all this waste of time, people, delete. And I also remember not doing that. So it's like a 50-50 thing. I don't know. Who cares? Right now, somebody liked me, and I was like, of course you like me. No, I'm kidding. And then he sent me a message, so I responded with a dad joke. I did a voice message actually, and in the voice message, I was like, can I ask you a question? And then I got disconnected. This hasn't happened before because I've sent number of voice messages to people, majority of which have not been even responded to. I mean, these people are out here just wasting people's time. Luckily, I was like, why is this message 8 seconds long? That's shorter than what I spoke for. I know maybe I did 20 seconds at least. So I played back and I realized it got cut off. And I sent a message saying, oh, that got cut off. Maybe it's a sign that I shouldn't ask you what I meant to. Everything is a test, okay? So how you're going to respond to that is going to show, moving forward, what's going to happen here in this chat box, right? Otherwise, what's the point of all of this? We're all getting to know each other. At least that's what his initial message said, something along the lines of he would like to be friends first. Now, that's fine with me because I'm in no rush whatsoever. But his response after the voice message was, yes, because I asked, is that your real name? He said yes. And then he explained. I said, no, that was just a dead joke that I was making. And he said, oh, that's funny, you're a dad and you're a mom, which I guess he's making a dad joke too now, which that's fair enough. I mean, what are you going to do? But it was interesting that he didn't literally respond to the voice message. Well, he did, but because one of the questions was whether that's his real name. But he didn't respond to, what is it that you wanted to ask? You know what I mean? You would think some of these things, you're just throwing them a bone or something just to throw back. You know what I mean? You're throwing the ball to their side of the court, and it's time for them to, we're playing tennis, folks. Not you. I'm telling them that, folks, we're playing tennis, like, pass the ball. Then his next message is, can you have my number? Or give me a number. Something that's like, it's something that I've had to get used to living and interacting with Americans, that they don't always say, may I please, or could you please, that kind of stuff. They don't always say things as politely as I'm accustomed to in South Africa. May I please do this? Could you please pass the ball? Can I please have that? Some of them will even say, let me see that, even though they can see it, and you're not their eyes. So you're allowed to see it. I'm not blindfolding you. That's not even what they mean. They mean, can you pass that to me? Which is like, okay, that's fine. It's probably, I guess, some kind of a cultural difference, as we tend to do a lot of those here on this podcast. Seems like every episode has one. Since I started editing and posting them, I'm like, we're doing that again. And cut to quickly because I have to go to work. This guy asked for my number, right? And I said, it's going to be a no on the phone number for now. We need to have a template or like some kind of an automatic prompt for refusing to give people your number on there, because the number of times I've had to turn people down from having my number is insane. Why would you want my number? The messages that I'm telling you about, that's all the conversations that we've had, all the interaction that we had. So within a few minutes, you get to have my number. Why? Because you said we have to be friends first. I didn't sign up for being your friend. Just because you said that that's a good idea doesn't mean that it is so. Who died and made you God? Between you and I would not be surprised if he disappears. It would kind of suck because looks-wise, totally my type. He's a little older than I like them, more than 10 years older. But it seems like, it seems like a little dorky, and I kind of like that type of a look. He is the same name as somebody I was once in a relationship with. That's what I was going to say in the voice message. That message decided to cut me off because apparently, you're not supposed to talk about your exes. So I didn't. And he's the same height, so that's very interesting. But I mean, those are not enough commonalities between two people. Now let me go ahead and respond to this guy. someone else who just messaged me about, I'd like to get to know you if you don't mind. It's redundant, isn't it? Because somebody likes you and you like them in return and you both match. And then they say, do you mind if we get to know each other? But I can't be like mean because everybody doesn't think the same way. Everybody doesn't process the same way. So the fact that this guy wrote 3 lines by himself and even put my name on there and typed it, at this point he has won more than all these ones that are asking for my number. But who knows, maybe his next message is going to ask for my phone number. I'm kind of probably prejudging him, as I tend to do. And we have all established, because one of his photos, he is shirtless. Well, more than one. And he's wearing really short, tight shorts, and he's like tensing the muscle on his thighs. Not my jam at all. But cover me. I'm going in. Of course, the first question I asked dude is, sure, we can, I responded to what he asked. We can get to know each other. And then I went and asked, are his photos AI generated? I mean, can I even help myself? We shall see, because last time I asked somebody this, I told you about that in one of the previous episodes. So check that out. We'll see. Maybe I'm going to get blocked or whatever. I couldn't be bothered. Let me go to work, dude. Seriously. Okay, I'm in the office now. Not the office, but where I do my eBay listing. So I am at work right now, getting ready to rock and roll. And on my way here, I checked. And he had responded, what do you mean? Do I sound like a bot? So I said, no, but your photos feel that way. And he said, maybe you would be open to telling me what's running through your mind then. So I went LOL, WTF, and then I unmatched with him. So that was short-lived, shorter-lived than the length of his shorts. I'm being totally passive-aggressive, maybe petty, I don't know. It's 8:29, Friday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. I've mentioned this dude to you on a previous dating site, stories, podcast. It was probably nothing major. I don't mind just exchanging a couple of messages per day with him. It's not going anywhere. He lives in LA and had sent me a message asking me where I live. And I asked if it's not on the profile. Not the previous guy. This is somebody else. And he said yes, he can see. And then he typed what he saw. And I was like, yeah, that's where I am. And he asked, is Beverly Hills too far from me? Well, it's the same distance as I am from Beverly Hills. But that's not what I said. I was like, because he had mentioned that he lived in kind of central LA. I wouldn't consider Beverly Hills central LA, because central is usually downtown, meaning in the center of Los Angeles. However, I don't know, what his thought process is. Beverly Hills is West LA. He did also mention that somewhere in the conversation as well. So I was like, okay, maybe between West and Center. It doesn't matter. West and Center would be Hollywood, but that's neither here nor there. Actually, he did, somewhere down the conversation, I told him I used to live, and I gave him my 2 intersections in Beverly Hills. And he said he's not far from there. And then he gave me his. And his came up in West Hollywood. So maybe I'm not wrong by saying, even though I'm just being kind of joking, it's fine. He's not going to give me, I don't expect him to give me his
specific address. At one point, he gave me his Facebook. He's the first person to give me a link to his Facebook. So I go on there, and it's a lot of forwarded things, stuff that he shares from other profiles. Not my favorite type of deal, but you do you, boo. I hope there's not a lot of echo in this episode because I don't think I've recorded in this room. And then I saw that like he sells on eBay too. He had mentioned to me out of the blue that, to be honest with you, that was not an answer to anything I said. To be honest with you, I don't know if he said he's disabled, but he said he's retired, and he said he has a hearing issue on one of his ears that messes up with his balance, and for that reason, he doesn't choose to drive. I love how he worded that he chooses not to drive. You know what I mean? He's not saying he can't, but he chooses not to. I was like, all right, okay. And to which I thought, okay. And then I saw that people who had interacted with him in the past, it shows that they gave him these compliments. Some of those compliments are honest and blah, 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 blah. So I was like, is this guy collecting honest feedback by insisting that to be honest with me and telling me something that nobody asked him? He could have just told me that. That's not being dishonest or honest. It's just we're getting to know each other. But whatever, dude. So I said, oh, that's a bummer. I guess that's limiting your independence. He said, no, because I'm very central where I live. I use public transportation and rideshare, etc. I was like, oh yeah, huh? I guess a part of me was thinking, why is he telling me this? And then I thought, is this one of those instances where people are like, I am disabled and I just want somebody to give me a chance already, and they're just, rambling. So I didn't know if it was one of those deals where someone is like using the victim angle. I guess that's not what he was doing. Maybe he was just being honest, like upfront, So I said, oh yeah, you're right, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I like actually this attitude. And there is plenty of public transportation all over Los Angeles. I experienced it myself. I still use tons of public transportation, maybe not in Los Angeles and maybe not in my town because there's none here. But during my travels, yeah. Then he would ask like, good morning, what are you doing today? I'm on my way to the mall to get my steps in. And then I would tell him what I'm doing. And next time he would say, like, what are you up to? Or something like that. And no response to, it's not flowing. It's not a conversation. It's just, I don't know what it is. But whatever, he hasn't been blocked yet. He's getting very close, or I'm getting close to be blocked by him, who knows. Also, his social media has a lot of Erewhon, one of the most, if not the most expensive, why am I whispering now? If not the most expensive supermarkets around. And he would take a photo outside and say, grocery shopping. Or take a picture on Rodeo Drive and be like, just going for a walk. Something just like, I'm like, what is the deal with this guy? It's not name dropping. I guess it's name dropping because it's the names of those areas. And I'm like, does this guy really live in Beverly Hills? Because from him saying is Beverly Hills too far from you, it was just like what? And when he could have checked himself. And now all these pictures and whatever. And I saw that he has an eBay store and I saw the kind of stuff that he sells. He's doing actually very well. A lot of people are. That I come to find out about. So I said to him, oh, by the way, thank you for your Facebook page. Just so you know, I'm going to stalk you and I'm not going to give you mine. So he put a thumbs up. And then I said the next day, oh, you have a Facebook, you have an eBay store. Me too. he asked me, what do you sell? So I told him clothing. He asked what kind. And I said, just regular. And to which he put a thumbs up. Oh, and I said, I'm not specializing like you. I said, I wish I knew more about specialty stuff. Teach me. And he put a thumbs up. And that was the end of that conversation. So yesterday, good morning. I'm like, hey, something that means nothing. And I responded, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting ready to post a new podcast episode. And he didn't say anything about that. And he went on his merry way. Fine. This was my first time mentioning that I have a podcast. Not that it's not obvious on my pictures that I have one. And today, he asked me, he said, good morning. I actually kind of had a plan not to go on that site at all today, being Valentine's Day. But I guess I'm like kind of made it a habit to keep checking. So I checked and there was a message from him. I'm getting ready to remove everybody again. It's time to remove everybody that I've been chatting with again. You know, it's like going to be the third time in almost 3 weeks. I think it's my third week today to delete, clean house. Nothing has gone anywhere. Nobody has, it hasn't, it's just a few messages back and forth, but it doesn't develop into anything. There were a couple of people that I was like curious about, and interested and excited to talk to, but those probably sent me 2 messages and I sent them 2 back and they went ghost. But I don't sit around more than like 2 days or so for you to get back to me. I just delete that whole thing because I don't want to have that anticipation in the back of my mind and checking and seeing that you haven't messaged me. No. Bye-bye. I don't care. Maybe I don't care that much. I'm not going to sit around and then maybe after 5 days if they decide, or until Facebook gives me, if you don't know, this dating site I'm talking about is Facebook dating. Until Facebook gives me a thing saying, okay, the countdown is on now. You need to send a message again. Otherwise, these people will disappear. That's crazy. I'm not doing that. Maybe it's me protecting myself, my ego. So he says nothing, right, to the podcast thing. And then this morning, hi. So I said, hey, and how are you? Do you have any plans for today and the weekend? I said, this is the part where I'm being passive aggressive. I said, working on my podcast. I'm mentioning the podcast on purpose. I don't expect these people to support my endeavors. I don't expect them to be curious about my podcast. It's not specifically about the podcast. It's the fact that I can be saying I'm doing anything. I can be saying anything about eBay or whatever, and it doesn't go further. And then they just start another conversation as if, are they lacking in conversation skills, or are my expectations too high? Either way, it's not a match, right? So I don't know if he's responded actually, and I don't care. And now, usually when I find myself feeling this way and doing weird below the belt stuff like this, I know it's time to let that person go. Because now I'm entering like the game arena, pun intended, and I'm not really trying to do that. It's better for me if we just do hi, how are you? Good, have a nice day. Just that kind of stuff. We can do that on and off. It's fine. Don't make me feel ignored. Look like you're trying to impress me. You understand what I'm saying? So, I didn't know they have my marital status here. Holy shoot, they have my height. Wait a minute. I guess I've never read this certificate from the government. Height, female, country of... Oh my gosh, I need to read this. What the heck? I never read it. So, that was... Sorry if the sound sounds different because I moved rooms. And then quickly, let's wrap this up. there's another guy that I was enjoying, and I spoke a little bit of Spanish with him. Cute guy. He's from Central America, and there are a few countries that we've been to in common. And he was like, oh, I love traveling, and I'm looking for my travel buddy, blah, 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 or exchanging or whatever. I looked at his profile again, and I noticed that it says he's looking for friends and to chat. So those are the two things that he's looking for, not a relationship, which was kind of a relief for me. And I'm just not trying to date him in particular, but I was like, oh, thank God. So the pressure is off now. I can just, continue and be myself. And I don't know, I guess he's looking for a travel buddy as in friends, right? Sounds like I just said friends. Then he is the one person I talked to the most in one day. In the evening, he was getting ready to go and run an errand, and I looked at our conversations as I'm wrapping up my day too. I was about to take a bath and go for a walk. I know I do that in reverse. I should probably walk first and then bath, whatever. So I was like, so when we were talking about, and then I scrolled, I was like, oh my gosh, I started talking to this guy around 9 in the morning, and it was like almost 5 in the evening, or 4 or whatever. It's like, he broke the record, and he didn't say anything creepy or whatever. He said to me, he's getting ready to go out. Here's his phone number. Oh gosh, I was hoping this microwave is not going to beep while I'm doing this. Hold on. Okay. So I said, maybe no on the phone number right now, because remember what happened with the other guy, with the dentist guy? So no. But I did take his number and I looked him up. I was like, oh, okay, so I was right about what he does. I was able to gauge what he does for work from his photos. It's not that clear, but I was able to, I was proud of myself, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't hear from him, and I didn't call or whatever. I wasn't going to call him. And the next day I said to him, I found the next day he was just like, hi, and he was not available, and then he sent me like a flower emoji, and that was just like, that was it. I thought that was very interesting. Yes, I only talked to him for one day. No, I don't know him, and I don't know his schedule or whatever. But I noticed that with these folks on this dating site, nobody says, okay, I'll talk to you later, I gotta go. He did kind of say that though. But the previous day, obviously, I already told you. But I noticed that there's that trend. You will be exchanging. Nobody says, talk to you later. You just poof. And then before you know it, maybe you get another message the next day. You never get a message after like 2 days. Well, because I delete them after that. But it's very ghost-like, the way they move. So I'm thinking there's no consistency here. From somebody that you talked with all day, now you're getting a flower and nothing. And then I think in the evening, he probably said one thing and something about, probably just like good night or good night, sweetie. And I thought, all right, so we've entered that territory now of, pet names. The next day, he was like, how are you, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, muy bien, y tú? It's good. And he said, can we practice? He had mentioned the first day that we talked that I speak good English, because I just started messaging him in Spanish right away that day. And he was like, I was not expecting this. I thought you only speak English, because my profile says English only. I'm not going to put Spanish on there. I don't speak Spanish really, just un poquito. So un poquito means a tiny little bit. Un poco means a little bit. Then he had said that he'll teach me to speak fluently in Spanish and I should teach him English. I was like, that's funny, because actually at one point in my life, I was an English teacher in Eastern Europe. So I thought that was in passing. And then he gave me his phone number again yesterday, this day 3, and said, can we practice English, please? And take it easy on me. Blah, blah, blah. My English is really not good. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm busy. Like, I am working. I was at work. And I guess we had a nice chat that day. And now we're going straight to English classes. This guy came on a dating site looking for an English tutor for free. What is this? The product that he sells a product in his business, right? And I had said to him, send me some. I have an eBay store. And then he said, okay. And then I felt weird about saying that, like as if I'm all of these people that the guys are complaining about on their profiles. Like, no, I'm not going to support you. No, I'm not going to give you money. No, I'm like doing that thing too. I'm asking for something. And then I thought, let me take that back. So I said to him, I was kidding. I wasn't super kidding. I am curious. He can send me some and I can sell it for him. And for him, not for me. But then I thought, gosh, then I have to give him my address and whatever. And I thought, just leave this. And this is complicated. And what if I don't want to deal with him again and I have his stuff here and I just complicated everything, right? Fine. So I said to him, I thought we already agreed on the phone number thing, that I'm not comfortable. So does he think that now 3 days later I'm comfortable to talk to him based on what? On the number of hours that have lapsed since I said no? Nothing else happened in between then. There were no conversations. There was nothing. So I said, I thought we established that I'm not comfortable with the phone number part yet. You understand that, right? I always ask that because really I'm just trying to say, how do you not get that? This is what I really mean. So he said, yes, I understand. And I feel like by chatting and exchanging messages, that's you practicing English. That counts too. Because it does. And you're welcome. But it was interesting. After that, I just thought to myself, yeah, at some point I'm going to have to remove him. Probably by the end of today, I will have removed him. It will be a pity because I really enjoyed our chats. But listen, there are a lot of people that I enjoyed in my time, platonic and in a romantic sense. And they're no longer in my life. Some are blood. And I look at our dynamic and think, we've had some of the best times together. If we can just keep doing that. Only if wishes were horses. But they're not. So beggars don't get to ride. That's the reality of life. So just because it could have been nice, we could have had a nice friendship, just because blah, 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 blah. Oops. I'm eating crow. He responded to my second message about my podcast that's passive aggressive. Can I cut back to the thing that I forgot that I said to him? I was like, it was probably something blah, blah, blah that was not entertained. He had asked me, this is the Beverly Hills guy. He had asked me what I was doing a different time. And I had said I was planning my next trip because on my profile, it talks about traveling and I list the places that I've been, some of the places I've been to in recent years. So it's kind of a big theme on my profile, but that doesn't mean people I'm talking to know that. That doesn't mean they read it, you know? Sorry if you heard my stomach. So he didn't respond to that, and he just put a thumbs up, and that's it. And next time talked about something else. So the one about me saying I'm working on my podcast and he didn't respond and pushed me to being passive aggressive was based on, you know, all these things that he keeps asking what I'm doing, and I keep telling him, and there's nothing in return about that. It's just, I guess, it's rubbing me the wrong way. So he responded, send me a link, please. I was not expecting that. I don't even really need him to listen to my podcast. Like I said, it's not about the podcast, not about the pasta. Again, reference to Vanderpump Rules, a reality show. One of the trashier ones. So I was like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting this response. It really made me less, I don't know what the word is, because you're so jaded, right? And you don't have high expectations of anything. And then that was a curveball in a way, in a good way. So yeah, he said, what were you expecting? I said, I don't know, because I've mentioned my podcast before and you didn't say anything. So I guess I was just saying that to say it. What are you going to say? I was being passive aggressive and petty? Not necessarily. So he hasn't, I think he did respond. No, he hasn't responded to that one, but I also had added to it. Maybe I'll give you the name of my podcast in the future. Anyway, what are you up to? And what are your plans for the weekend? I was like, I just realized now that it's a long weekend. And I put a massage. Oh, shoot. Let me tell you, these 20-minute intervals are so fast. I set it 20 minutes so I can do something, and then 20 minutes do something else. It was like 20 minutes, I did the dishes, and then the time was up. So at 20 minutes, I was still doing the dishes. And I was like, okay, let me go to the office. And I'm wiping surfaces, cleaning there's a little fridge in the office. So I'm cleaning that and whatever. And before I knew it, oh, shoot, it's time to move on. And then I went to another go. And then now I'm just sitting here doing this now because I really had sat down to figure out which episode I should get ready to release for tomorrow. Because at this point, whenever you will be listening to this stuff, but right now, this is the phase where I am, or was in your case, releasing episodes every single day because I'm trying to catch everybody. Because I started the podcast recordings in 2020. Really, I think, in 2020. Only a few were recorded then. And then 2021, a few were recorded then too. But then I emptied up in 2022, which was the year that I moved to the desert. And my life was changing. So I was documenting, the adjustment, so to speak, for document's sake and also for myself, because it's part of processing and whatnot. So I'm like, if I'm going to release one episode a week or every other week, it's going to take forever. I will always be 3 years behind. I don't know. I don't hate that, but at the same time, I'm excited to talk about things that are happening currently in my life. For example, the stuff that I'm recording now is going to come out hopefully still this year, according to plan, if I continue to release them every day. So, now you know. So I sat down to work on that, and I listened to, there's a lot of listening to my own voice that has to take place, and deciphering and whatevering, and just being like, no, maybe not that, maybe this, maybe blah, blah, blah. So maybe it's a good thing I'm not posting the stuff that's happening currently, because if any of these dudes that I mentioned decide to go and listen, who cares? Who cares? It's just me talking about my life. It's not something that I've not done in the past. I do the same thing on my blog, babalabrook.com, if you want to check that out. I don't drag anybody. I don't put anybody's name or anything like that. And if you are the dude from Beverly Hills, you're probably not even really from Beverly Hills anyway. So it's not like your privacy is messed up in the process. That was some shade. So, yeah. I probably need to edit the alarm out. I haven't heard back, but I'm not sitting here checking that either, but it's one of the things that I'm just doing to give myself a break, because I'm having a decent day, just cleaning and whatever. Looking forward to the weekend. I've been tired a lot this week, but my periods also started a couple of days ago, so we've talked about this. One of the episodes I released, maybe more than one, about fatigue and how it links to PMS / I have PMDD, which is the more heftier one, and low iron and other things.
there will be other diagnoses that'll come in the future of my recordings. That's why I'm doing it chronologically, because some of the things that I talk about now will make sense, because they did to me when I started listening. I was like, oh my gosh, I was already noticing these things. These are the symptoms of the thing that I was diagnosed with the next year. So all of that's coming. And if I continue to post these episodes fast, which you don't need to know this because they will have posted by then. I guess it's just me thinking out loud. All of this will be released this year. All right, let me go. TTYL.